Good morning. Today is the 15th of November and it's time for yet another not particularly interesting, very vague and probably quite boring vlog. So we're here in the Black Country. I've spent the last couple of days filming reviews both in kind of Worcester area and also at Summit Garage in Dudley. And a couple of days ago I happened to be invited to film a very nice Mercedes-Benz SLK, the R170 model owned by Stephen from the Stephen's Wales channel. He also has a couple of other cars, one of which we can't talk about on the channel, but he has something very, very nice as well. He has a 1985 Mercedes-Benz 380 SL. And it doesn't really go out on the road at the moment. It's a little bit sort of cold and things for it, so it's in a barn that he has. And so I decided I'd make some video on it. Having reviewed the footage of that car, I'm just not really sure that video stands alone particularly well on its own. It's a little bit short, and also, well, it's quite dark. And so what I've decided to do is, we are going to go and see that car again, I think. Stevens said I can come and drive it maybe next year when we've got a bit more daylight and things like that. So there's a little sort of preview of what the car looks like. There are some jobs on it to do as well. That's another reason why he said maybe it's not the best time to drive it, because there's work to do. But I hope nevertheless you enjoy this little walk around of a lovely old R107 Mercedes-Benz SL. So we're very privileged today to be looking at this 1985 Mercedes 380 SL. It's owned by Stephen from the Stephen's for Wheels channel, who is very, very big on Mercedes. I've just driven his SLK that's outside. I think it'll be going probably back in here soon. But this is the new storage that he's got for his cars over the winter. This barn's just had some work done to it. And this is his pride and joy. So in 1985, you could get a few engines for these. This was sort of in the middle, really. You could get a larger engine as well if you wanted to, but this is the smallest of the V8s. It's actually in really, really nice condition, but there's one big problem with this car, which is hilarious. So the hardtop on it, the hardtops were an optional extra to pay for them, but most of them do have them. The hardtop doesn't fit properly, so you can't open this door. So we're going to have to go from this side. But yeah, these were really popular, these R107 models, and they made them from 1972 all the way through to 1989. A really, really long production run for these. And yes, Dallas, Dempsey and Makepeace, all that kind of stuff, Beverly Hills Cop, lots and lots and lots of very sort of famous films and television in the 80s used these cars. Let's open the boot. Oh, we'll lift with the key in. Hold on a second, guys. So for some reason, when you close the boot, it locks itself, which is rubbish. Don't know why you need to do that. We'll lift up the carpet and have a look under here. You can see this car's had a new carpet at some stage, but right underneath here is the spare. There we go. It's an alloy spare, and the tools are right underneath inside, which is good. The boot's actually quite big on this. I'm quite surprised, actually. It's a big, capacious thing. Obviously, the car's based on the W116 generation of S-Class, what became the S-Class later. And so, they're not the smallest cars. So we'll just shut back carefully. W was an old London registration back in the day. So a lot of these probably were used in London with people who kept them forever. Have a look inside. We've got something very nice in here. Oh, yes. Yes, views, it is a beige leather interior with wood. Yes, please. So we'll just take a seat in here. Well, some of the details in here of this car are incredibly sort of 70s. Obviously, when the cars were being developed, which had been sort of around 1970, these cars were developed. And so it does feel quite old-fashioned for a car from 1985 in some ways. You could look at these details on the door panel, for example. One thing that Steve's going to have to do is address this. So there's a video I watched recently where he goes in a lot more detail about what needs doing to this car, and that's one of the things here is this adjuster for the mirror. I would have thought that would be an electric mirror by then, but obviously not. Also this seal here, that's going to need addressing at some point as well. Just take a seat in here. slide into the comfy beige leather driver's seat. Oh, that is very comfortable. It's very comfy in here. All these sort of gauges and things. Temperature gauges in the middle for some reason. I don't quite know why. And then we've got instruments there, classic Mercedes, automatic. Most of them were. Look at this. No, it's not locked. There we go. Excellent. That's not too bad either. We've got some little bits of wood in here. For some reason, it's got back seats, but they look utterly useless to me. I think Stephen takes his dogs in them or something, but I don't think many people can go in. One thing I'm really surprised about, this car's got a normal handbrake in it. I thought it would be actually a sort of one of these automatic sort of things, or it would be at least one we release up here, but a foot operator thing, but it's not. You can see the extent of this sort of lovely door card here. Steering wheel is classic sort of big Mercedes thing. I can barely get sort of most of it with the camera. So we've got the heating and ventilation up here as well, which I think on these is like dual zone, which is what we call now dual zone climate control. But of course it wasn't called that back in the day. It just means driver and passenger have got separate controls. I think this is a 4-speed automatic in this one. Headlight twist is down here. Then the controls for the windows are there as well. Key goes in on the left for some reason in this. I don't quite know why. And then we've got this tiny cruise control stalk, which is reminiscent of the more modern Mercedes cruise control stalks, but it's absolutely tiny. Also, the indicator wiper stalk is on this side. I don't quite know why. I think that's the thing that Mercedes just used to do. So when you're jumping in and out, or even different Mercedes that Stephen does all the time, you've got to remember that actually you aren't you operating the wipers or you don't want to, or something like that, or you reach for the stalk and it's not there. I think even the W123s were, 3 and 4s were like that. Tiny door pocket, absolutely ridiculously tiny. But then I suppose this is one of these sports cars, and so that's just the way that it is. Right, I'm going to reach over now and pull the bonnet release, which is going to be interesting. So here we are. This is the V8. It looks quite complicated in here. Got a big air cleaner on top of here. I mean, you wouldn't want to be working at this at like a normal garage. I think probably the best thing to do with a car like this, being this age too, is to take it to a specialist, especially a 39-year-old car. But considering the age of it, and I know these, obviously by now, a lot of them are starting to rust a little bit. So this is in actually really nice condition. And actually the price that Stephen paid for this was very, very reasonable, I think, for something like this. The nice ones of these are 20 grand plus. So actually this is good. I like the look of these sort of later cars. A sort of mild facelift occurred in the mid-1980s for them, but they just kept building these things, presumably because they kept selling, even though certain elements of the car, you can see particularly the interior, is very old-fashioned by the mid-1980s. But there's just something about these and the way that they look, and everything is engineered in a certain way. So if I close the bonnet, you can hear the sort of sound of it closing. It's just completely over-engineered. It's a big piece of metal to sort of shut, but even the doors feel like that too. It's a lovely car, this. So you can go to Stephen's channel, Stephen's Four Wheels, if you want to see more on this car. He's very kindly offered me to come back and actually have a go in it at some point, possibly next year when the weather's a bit better. But yes, having watched them to your mate piece about 20 years ago and seeing, the two of them they used in that series, I've always wanted to have a go in one. So there we go, a beautiful old car. The review of the CLXXIII on Sensible second-hand classics will be up at some point. Most of you will see this video about 3 weeks after it's recorded. Others of you will see it, well, I don't know, quite soon after it's actually been made. So either way, I hope you enjoyed that one as well. Thank you again to Stephen. So we'll see you again for some more very vague and not particularly interesting musing, and thank you very much indeed once again.